"2022 has been an eventful year, to say the least, for us as investors. We've had multiple hurdles thrown at us along the way. We've seen increasing inflation, increasing interest rates, heightened Chinese regulation, and who could forget the Russia-Ukraine war? Today we are joined by three esteemed guests to help us navigate the market over the next few months. Our first guest is Wayne McCurry. Wayne, great to see you today.
Really good.
And let's go and grab a coffee and unpack this further. Wayne, lots of chat about this bear market that we find ourselves in. What are your thoughts? And more importantly, have we been here before?
Look, I mean, bear markets, people, whenever bear markets actually happen, people get quite upset about it. You know, they almost see it as a personal affront. How can this be happening to me? And that's for a number of reasons. First of all, a bear market follows a bull market. During a bull market with shares going up, everyone's happy. Everyone feels good. And they see it as almost a personal affront, almost an attack on them that, why are these shares falling? Why, if I bought this fantastic company at 100 Rand, why is it now 40 Rand? Every bull market is followed by a bear market. So what's happening now is entirely normal. People don't see it like that. But of course, if you follow through in the logic, the next move is actually up. Middle of next year sometime, interest rates will start to fall. Inflation could have already peaked and will start to fall, and then the share market weakness will stop, it will bottom out, and more than likely go up again. And our cycles, markets work differently to us as humans. When we're happy, we want more of what made us happy. So you're happy because your shares have gone up, your Teslas have gone up, your Bitcoins have gone up, all of your tech shares have gone up. So you want to buy more because my return was great. And all of a sudden, these things start to fall, and then you become depressed, you become despondent. And what you do is you want to sell these. I'm losing money, I must sell, I must get out now. So I suppose one of the successes to investments, and maybe the best lesson to ever learn in investments, is when you're truly happy, when you feel, wow, things can't get any better, they generally don't get any better, they get worse. So when you're feeling truly euphoric and happy, you should actually think about taking some profits and selling. And more importantly, because this is where we are now, when you're despondent and depressed because you're losing money, you should actually think about buying shares. Because the good thing about a bear market is that it gives you the opportunity to buy good shares cheaply.
Wayne McCurry, thank you so much. I certainly feel a lot better about my investments, and we'll catch up soon.
That's a pleasure. Thank you.
There you heard it from Wayne McCurry. We shouldn't be panicking. We shouldn't be running away from our investments and exiting. We should actually be looking for further opportunities because of the pullback in some of the equity prices. Next, we're going to be chatting to Renzi on staying the course and the importance of staying invested during these volatile times. How's it, Renzi?
How's it, Nick? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Renzi, staying the course, a phrase we've heard a lot of as investors during 2022. But how important is it to stay invested during volatile times like these?
It's very important for investors to stay the course, but maybe let's take a step back first and understand why they feel differently. Often when we're in times of market distress, you'll be bombarded by news agents and social media, etc., with all these negative sort of views of recession and bear markets. But it's important to sort of note that these are actually quite ordinary in the greater scheme of things. So statistically speaking, the frequency with which we see market downturns and dislocations is high enough that one can't conclude these are highly anomalous events. And if we then relate that to a customer lens and how they see the world, if you've got a long-term investment horizon of 10, 15, 20 years, whether it's for retirement or saving for a kid's education, you have to acknowledge that during the course of that journey and investment, you are bound to see a market downturn. So rather than thinking, how do I avoid this? People need to focus on how do I manage it when it does actually occur.
What would the potential risk be for a long-term investor in withdrawing funds now and buying back into the market later?
Yeah, I think actually of everything we say today, this is probably the most crucial point. It's a human emotion and reaction that you feel concerned when there's lots of negative news around you. That I think we must all just experience and go through. What we think is then incorrect is to translate that into an action of disinvesting, thinking you can sit on the sidelines and get back in when things are better, because to time it is really, really difficult. Now, there's lots of studies that one can look at. There's lots of work that's been done over time. But let me draw on something that was put out recently. There's a recent study that was done in the US, and it looks at the US equity market. And had you missed just the 2 best days per year over the last 50 years, only missing 2 days a year, the best 2 days a year for 50 years, you would have cost yourself 80% of your final outcome. So 20 Rand instead of 100. That is quite a remarkable statistic. Now, one can certainly challenge the assumptions and the analysis that was done, but I think the message is 100% correct, which is stay the course. If you want to maximize the chances of getting to your goal, retiring comfortably, getting your kids to varsity, etc., then the right action is actually to stay invested during these times of market dislocations.
Renzi, when you say staying invested, staying the course, does it mean we need to sit on our hands over the next few months, or should we also be looking for some new opportunities?
Yeah, also a good question. So if you've invested your money into a unit trust or a product of some sort, it's important to remember that you've outsourced the investment management to professional investors or fund managers. So by you not disinvesting or staying invested, you're allowing those investment managers to take advantage of the opportunities out there. So, for example, right now in some of our funds, we're seeing opportunities in various asset classes and instruments, and we're acting on that. If you have taken your money out at this point, you don't participate in that action. That's the sort of thing we're trying to correct for, to make sure people stay invested so they can participate when we act on the opportunities that markets have presented.
Renzi, let's get your crystal ball out. What are you expecting over the next 6 months? And I know it's probably difficult to determine.
Yes, so the first thing we always say is it's actually an easy question to answer. I don't know is the easy answer. If you think about where we are in the cycle now, I think there's still a bit of negative news to come out. We've been hoping that inflation would peak in the US. We've been hoping that you'd see things turn around. That would then give us greater visibility on interest rates. So I think for the near term, my prediction would be more negative news to come out, which is why the message of don't panic, stay invested is important.
Any final thoughts or a final tip for the investor that's maybe feeling a little bit anxious at the moment because of the equity pullback?
Yes, I think one of the key messages to get across to people is that the investment products you put your money into are built to weather these storms, which is why we say there isn't action required on your part.
Renzi, thank you so much for the insightful discussion. There you've heard it from Renzi, the importance of staying invested, and more importantly, not only sitting on our hands, but looking for further market opportunities. From chatting with Renzi and Wayne, it is clear that even during these volatile times, there are still opportunities in the market. Next, we're going to be chatting to money management specialist Esther. Esther, nice to see you again.
Lovely to see you again.
Should we walk and talk?
Let's absolutely.
Esther, South Africans have really been under pressure during 2022. How important is sound money management principles in overcoming this bear market?
You know, Nick, it is actually vital that everyone gets back to the basics. Now, there's a couple of components, or 3 components to getting back to the basics. The first thing that you need to do is you need to spend less than you earn, or budget. Make sure that there's some places that you can potentially free up cash flow, and use the tools that's available for you, such as a smart budget on app. The next thing that you need to do in this raising interest rate item is be cautious about using credit for lifestyle spend. So things like handbags and that type of thing, be cautious of using that. And then, of course, the last thing is you want to make sure that you have sort of 1 to 3 months worth of funds that's available in an account in the event that an emergency happens, be it a geyser burst or an unexpected medical bill. And you want to make sure that that money is in an account that's easily accessible, be it a 7-day notice account, or alternatively prepaying it into your bond. And the advantage, of course, of prepaying it into your bond is you save that interest as well.
What are the potential repercussions of withdrawing money from a long-term savings vehicle to fund short-term expenses?
That's a very good question, and I think the biggest repercussion that you're going to have there is you're going to lose out on that brilliant effect of compounding interest. You know, you actually see the proper benefits of compounding interest of sort of 15, 20 years. And if you take that away, you're potentially not going to reach your long-term goals, be it retirement or alternatively other lifestyle goals. So make sure that you got that emergency savings so you don't need to rely on actually drawing out of your longer-term savings. cutting back on something like your insurances, you never know when you're going to need your insurance. You never know when you're going to need your car insurance. And accidents happen so quickly. And the worst thing is, if there's a death of a breadwinner, I mean, that family could be in a far worse position if they don't have that insurance in place. So rather, and chat to your financial institution if you need help, but rather look at other ways of freeing up cash flow as much as possible and stay the course.
Esther, thank you so much for that detailed discussion.
Thank you, Nick, for having me. And again, just stay the course.
There you've heard it from all of our experts today. We need to stay the course, stay invested, continue looking for opportunities, and obviously make sure that we have got some emergency savings just in case something happens along the way.